You want me to put that on my todger?
This One's Wife. Pay up, Pink Pancakes. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Alex Farber writes in the Times, Prince Harry ordered to pay £48,000 to Mail on Sunday. Prince Harry has been ordered to pay the Mail on Sunday more than £48,000 after his attempt to force the newspaper to strike out part of its defence in a libel case failed. The Duke of Sussex is suing the Sunday paper's owner, Associated Newspapers, over an article about how his row with the Home Office about his security arrangements. The judge, Mr. Justice Nicklin, ruled that the publisher had a real prospect of arguing its case and ordered the Duke to pay its costs of £48,447 by December the 29th. It is the case that in litigation, one of the parties can seek to strike out part of the other individual's claim before it getting to trial, and they have an interlocutory hearing to achieve that. The risk factor in doing so is that if your application to strike out part of the claim fails, you then become liable to pay the costs associated with that particular application. And the judge assesses those costs and tells you your application failed, therefore you must bear these costs. Similarly, if the Prince of Pink Pancakes had succeeded and struck out part of that defence, he would have been awarded the costs of his application that would have had to have been paid by the newspaper. As it was, his application failed. It doesn't mean that the claim as a whole has fallen apart. It simply means that his attempt to strike a blow against the newspaper at an early juncture has failed, and he's got to cough up. Lawyers for Associated Newspapers had argued that the article contained honest opinion and had not caused serious harm to the royal's reputation. The piece was published in 2022 under the headline, How Prince Harry Tried to Keep His Legal Fight with the Government Over Bodyguards a Secret. Then, just minutes after the story broke, his PR machine tried to put a positive spin on the dispute. It went on to cover his dispute with Home Office officials over the removal of his automatic police protection after he stepped down as a working member of the royal family in 2021. Harry, 39, had said that this was libelous because his honesty and integrity had been attacked, while his lawyers said the suggestion that he had lied and cynically attempted to mislead public opinion was inaccurate. The prince also raised concerns that the claims would undermine his charity work. The libel trial will be held between May and June next year if a settlement cannot be reached. The honest opinion defence protects individuals from being held liable for defamation, where statements are made as opinions rather than false statements of facts. The judge said the newspaper may well submit that this was a masterclass in the art of spinning, which was successful in misleading and or confusing the public. It previously emerged in trial documents that the late Queen wanted the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to continue to have effective security after they quit as working royals. An extract from a letter written by the late Queen's private secretary, Sir Edward Young, to then Cabinet Secretary Sir Mark Sedwill on January the 31st, 2020, reported on what had been agreed at the Family Sandringham Summit on January the 13th. It outlined the expectations that the Duke and Duchess would have when attending engagements in the United Kingdom and the position of his grandmother on these and other issues. Focusing on security, Sir Edward wrote, "You will understand well that ensuring that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex remain safe is of paramount importance to Her Majesty and her family. Given the Duke's public profile by virtue of being born into the royal family, his military service, the Duchess's own independent profile, and the well-documented history of targeting of the Sussex family by extremists, it is imperative that the family continues to be provided with effective security." The judgment stated that the letter did not refer to an offer personally to reimburse or proactively to finance the cost of state security, so as not to burden the taxpayer, which the Duke claims he made during the Sandringham summit. As I explained in parts passim, this disclosure in the content of the letter demonstrates once again that the Sussexes have been economical, to put it kindly, with the truth about what had gone on. But here, another setback for the Sussexes with regard to part of his claim not succeeding in terms of the application to strike out part of the Daily Mail's defence, and the fact that he's got to stump up £48,000. Now, in the general scheme of things, for a multimillionaire, that may not seem as much, but it's going to cause problems for Harry. How so? Well, first of all, remember, he is viewed as an extension of this one's wife, and therefore his case against the Mail on Sunday is in effect viewed as her case also. And therefore, were he to win, she would commandeer it as her win, part of the character trait acquisition that a narcissist engages in. Conversely, the fact that he has not succeeded means that it would reflect badly on her, and therefore her narcissism immediately jumps to her defence by disassociating her from this failure. Remember, your successes are the narcissist's successes. Your failures are yours. And therefore, the fact that he has buggered up this application, albeit, of course, Harry will not have decided that it ought to have been done. He'll have been advised that there was a possible strategy to adopt within the court case, and he has sanctioned it by giving those instructions to his solicitors. Nevertheless, the fact is, it will be viewed by this one's wife as his failure. Harry, of course, will plead innocent. Oh, my pumpkin, it was the lawyers. They misled me. They used big words I didn't understand.
You're an idiot, Harry. You messed it up. The newspapers will be laughing at us.
And of course, the paranoia of her narcissism will cause her to regard this defeat as a victory for the newspapers, and that they're again lording it over her. In order to nullify the threat to her control posed by this defeat, because even though it's Harry who is the litigant, who has been ordered to make the payment, because he's viewed as an extension of her, the defeat is deemed as a threat to her control, and therefore her narcissism must act to disassociate herself from that. And the way that it does it is pretty simple. It simply makes out that it's nothing to do with her, that it's all Harry's fault. Typical behaviour of the narcissist to blame shift. Something gone wrong? It's never the narcissist's fault. It's the weather's fault. It's your fault. It's mother's fault. It's that man down the road's fault. It's the fact that it was made of chocolate rather than vanilla. That's the reason that it didn't work, and that's the fault. The narcissist never does anything wrong. And thus here, Harry is to be blamed. He made bad decisions. He should never have brought the court case. He shouldn't listen to the lawyers. He should stand up more for himself. And look, you're having to pay out money as well. Just think what I could do with that. I could have 2 PR puff pieces in Hello and People.com. A court defeat for Pink Pancakes, causing him to need to cough up that money, reflects badly on this one's wife, and her narcissism then moves to ensure that there is no stain of defeat associated with her, and that the blame must lie with somebody else. And the easiest thing to do is to blame Harry. Thus, Harry perhaps has lost a little bit more of his hair, as he's been subject to a tongue lashing in relation to this particular episode. Likely he'll have been told off, told that he was useless, told that he shouldn't listen to the lawyers, and then she will sit, arms folded, with a harumph, ignoring him as he bleats and tries to get her back on side, exhibiting cold fury towards him until he eventually gives up and wanders out, disconsolate at the fact that once again his wife's not talking to him, that he finds himself alone and stranded in Monty's shit show, and also having to go and raid his piggy bank to find £48,000 to pay to the Mail on Sunday. Once again, I take you behind what goes on with these actions, so not only do you understand the way the narcissist behaves where they are the primary instigator, but to enable you to understand what goes on behind the scenes in relation to events such as this. where the intimate partner primary source has failed in something, and how that affects the dynamic between that intimate partner primary source victim and the narcissist. This is the insight that you won't get anywhere else. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.